Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Pretty Late Show where the party never stops. I'm your host, Petey Magic, and I know what you're thinking. Petey, the Pretty Late Show is normally on a Friday. What's it doing on a Wednesday and at 6 p.m.? We have a very special episode today because we have a very special guest who will be joining us and we're sharing in a big announcement with NFT in the crypto world. This is huge. So if you're in this sort of category, if you're new to it, I suggest you get comfy, get a cup of tea or something, sit down for the next hour. We're going to learn something really cool, and you'll have opportunity to get involved as well. And as always, my partner in crime, Patty Cabrera, DJ Cabrera, joining us here. We're in Serco working space here in D1 and W in Ho Chi Minh City. Let's get right to it, guys. This is the big one, and you've met him before. We've had him on the Foreign Stream Vibes during the day. But tonight we've got a special episode because we want to know a little bit more about where this is progressing. Ladies and gentlemen, DeFi For You, CEO and founder, Adam Chaplin.
Woo! Welcome,
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Chaplin.
Hiya. Hello,
Hello, mate.
Pat. Hello, Pat. Hello, Pete. How you doing? All right?
Good, mate. You look
Fantastic.
well.
Yeah, I'm sat up here in Hanoi and it's raining. What's it doing down there?
Same.
Same.
Okay,
Probably
good.
not as miserable as Hanoi, though.
I actually like it because I'm from Wales or UK, as people know, and it rains a lot. When it rains here, it cools down, and because I'm slightly chubbier than the average Vietnamese, this time of year, this time of year for me is my sort of favourite time of year. From now until April, you know. If I was
Nice
if I was a
little background
multi-millionaire.
as well.
Well, I made it. I made the TV myself before this was through. Because I wanted to obviously get on and say hello. So hello to Saigon. I hear that you're coming out of lockdown soon as well. Hopefully, is that right?
Yep, we're
But
easing off on a lot of the heavy restrictions, so looking
Yeah. So, same here. I think, from what I can gather, remember I don't read Vietnamese very well, but from what I can gather, a lot of the restaurants are having like a soft opening tomorrow.
good. In Hanoi.
And yeah. Well, they've had a hard time, real hard time. You know, it's been a tough couple of years for them. You know, as you well know, we know a few restaurateurs that have really struggled. Each time they've been told it's going to be open again, it hasn't been open, blah, blah, blah. So I've had to keep my success a bit secret, really, because we've done incredibly well in a time where really Vietnam and the rest of the world's been struggling. So now we're going to come out of lockdown. I can sort of start telling people a little bit more about what we're doing and where we're going to. But to give people a little bit of history, my name is Adam Christopher Chaplin. Everybody calls me Charlie because my surname's Chaplin. I've been involved in crypto now for about 1,070 years, it feels like, but sort of 7 years very actively, building crypto platforms for the last 4. I started off with my brother-in-law called Steve, I think 4 years ago now, to build the Traveller platform, which it's been handed over now. Steve now runs out with a guy called Juan. That's done really well. Now, cryptocurrency. It can sound like a really confusing space to be in because in many ways it's the language they use. They sort of they use language we don't understand, so we all start thinking we can't understand it. And most people say when you speak to them, have you heard of cryptocurrency? They say, yeah, I know Bitcoin, but there's so much more going on than that. Bitcoin has a purpose, sure, but we've gone into a world of NFTs, which stands for, very exciting, non-fungible token. What that means is it's a digital contract. That's all. Secured and held and recorded on a blockchain, so it's irrefutable. All right. Now, the big news is we've built the DeFi For You platform. We're testing now. And within a week, that's going to be, well, let's say 10 days, that's going to be fully live. And what's happened is we've had over 3,000 applications from pawn shops globally to be on that platform. So if you've got a normal pawn shop where somebody walks in, they want to pawn their watch or their car or their house or their boat or whatever they want to pawn, they usually go into a normal pawn shop, and that's all done by going into a shop. What we've done is we brought that online so they can either do it in the shop or they can do it online. And I think most people in Vietnam understand what pawn is. That's PAWN.
Yeah, not the other one.
Not the other one that you watch all the time. No. Not the other one that I've studied in my past life. No. It's the oldest form of finance. And it's sort of got a bit of a shady name, hasn't it? When people say pawn shop, it's almost like a backstreet thing with a little old guy with his little monocle in, checking out whatever you brought in is real or not. And it's sort of like desperate people trying to get enough money together for their next crack hit or whatever. Well, pawn actually is probably the best regulated of all the loan borrowing industry, because I'll give you an example, right? This is why we picked it. The idea of DeFi for you is so that we can control our own finances, right? Mm-hmm. Now, at the moment, our finances are controlled by other forces all the time, and sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad. Now, at the moment in Vietnam, not just Vietnam, globally, if you put your money in a bank, you're very lucky if you can just at least hold its value. Most of the time, it actually goes down in value for all sorts of reasons. Nobody's fault. Nobody's blaming the bank. If you want to get a loan in Vietnam, then you can go to a bank and you first have to prove you don't need that loan. So if you want to get a loan for 100 million dong, you have to go to the bank and prove you have 100 million dong before you get a loan for 100 million dong, which sort of breaks the whole system, right? All right. So when these people are in control of our finances, it can be very hard, and it's a slow system, and it's an old system, and it's a system that needs to be upgraded quickly. And the only way we can control our spending and our finances is if we do it to each other. Now, there are good people, and here's the surprise, there are bad people. So what we've done is we've done a thing called FCA registration, which is financial industry in the UK have a body for the pawn industry that makes sure that you don't overcharge for lending, make sure that you follow their rules, make sure that you don't get greedy. Because you remember, when people pawn things, people are a lot of the time, you pawn something, it's like, oh my, I need money, right? I've got a Rolex here, I paid $25,000 for it, or whatever. You go in the pawn shop, and the little old guy looks at you with his little monocle in, looks at your watch, and he goes, I'll give you $10. Now,
true.
Obviously, you know it's worth more than $10, but yeah, exactly. Well, there are rules around it. The point is, they tend to give you what they can get away with. Where on our side, that cleans all that up. Everything's set in stone. There are percentages to pay back, percentages to borrow against, or to loan against. So, if you are having a hard time, and a lot of people are, it's been a tough couple of years. You know, even if you were doing very well before, you have got assets like motorbikes, cars, I don't know, maybe some land somewhere, who knows. You can now physically walk into a pawn shop and you can either use them as a pawn shop or connect to that pawn shop through our platform and just do it all online. So it just makes it easier for them, yeah? So pawn is a form of lending, borrowing that's been around for 3,000 years, and it's a very, very fair form. And DeFi for you now, we've got 80,000 clients at the moment, 80,000. We're expecting with the new launch to have around 350 million by this time next year.
And that's in the UK, Adam?
No, the 80,000.
Or is that globally?
No, globally. The 80,000 at the moment, I would say we probably 25 to 30,000 will be Vietnamese because we launched in Vietnam. I mean, when we did Traveller before, remember, I don't speak much Vietnamese, and it's a very hard language for us to learn, us foreigners. You know, a lot of Vietnamese to Vietnamese, you know, it's very hard for them to speak it South and North Vietnamese. So it's not saying it's impossible. I'm not trying to be lazy. You know, well, I do speak Welsh. I do speak English a little bit. But to learn Vietnamese is hard. So when we launched Traveller initially as an idea, which is now like the biggest crypto travel website in the world and has done wonderful things. But when we launched it initially, I literally had my laptop under my arm and a moped, and I was going around with this idea. And I did laugh because behind you, you put here, dreams don't work unless you do. Yeah, that's the thing on your background. And that's a wonderful statement. That's a statement because a lot of people think that people get lucky in business or have a lucky break. Yes, you need luck, but what really makes it work, what makes your podcast work, and what makes anything work is how many hours you put into it. That's the essence of it. You work hard, get lucky, work hard, and it always works. So we have literally been for 4 years developing the new platforms ready to be launched. Now, most people have heard of DeFi for You. That's a form of pawn lending. So you have an asset, whether that's a watch, a pen, maybe your wife, who knows? Oh, hold on. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Hold on. My ears are too small.
Did you just say you would porn your wife?
So, we know some people would.
Darling, come here. What we do is we get it. Come down. Say hello.
Hello.
Hi.
If I was going to pawn anything, probably not my wife, and not with her here as well. But the point is, you can pawn whatever you want. Yeah, people pawn Learjets. People pawn actual whole resorts. I'll give you an example now. There's like in Thailand at the moment. Obviously, they've had a really hard time the last 2 years. They rely heavily on tourism, a lot more than Vietnam does, and the tourists haven't been there, so money hasn't been sent for the girls. Bars have been closed. Blah 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 blah. But they have assets. They have land. They have cars. They have all sorts of things. So if there's a pawn shop in the area, what we're actually doing is we will connect with that pawn shop. All right. Mm-hmm. So that pawn shop will have an online presence with us, like Booking.com does with a hotel. Yeah. So the best way to explain it is, right, if you've got a hotel, you want to go on Booking.com, you load on your hotel, okay? That makes that available to millions of viewers across the globe, right? But it's still your hotel. Yeah. But if you book anything through Booking.com, there's a commission to pay, obviously. Yeah. Now, that commission on Booking.com is very high. That's how Traveller was born. We thought it was too high, so we thought bring that down. I don't know if you realise how expensive it is to book through Booking.com, but they take a large commission. So that the idea initially came from, we think with blockchain we can do it cheaper. Yeah, that was the original idea. Traveller's taken really 3 years of 7 days a week, 18 hours a day, development. It's got nearly sort of 3 million resorts on now. It's got Agoda, it's got TripAdvisor on it, Booking.com, Expedia, all the major ones. But that didn't happen overnight. For the first 2 years, we weren't dead in the water, but our token was, because obviously until something functions properly, people don't know whether to buy it or not. Unless, of course, my name's CZ or my name's Elon Musk, and I say, "Wow, buy it now," or of course, people just buy it on some crazy level. So we always wanted to create cryptocurrency that had a real world use. Yeah. Now, Bitcoin. You've heard of Bitcoin. Bitcoin has and is taking a lot of money out of the gold market, because if you want gold, we all like gold, you've got to buy that gold and you've got to store that gold. And if you've got large amounts of that gold and you've got to store the large amounts of gold, that costs money as well. So a lot of these non-digital assets, we'll call them, are expensive to buy. They don't go up hugely. They usually follow the money trend, and they're expensive to actually sort of vault. So cryptocurrency or digital assets online changes everything. People love the word, let's say, pump. We would love everything we do to go on the market, go from nothing to $1,000 per token or per coin straight away. If you look at that as a business model, what you'll see is, and it does happen, you'll see it'll go straight up. When people lose interest, it'll go straight down. That's the end of it. That's the end of the currency. So that's just a pure currency. Now, when I came to Vietnam 10 years ago, bear in mind I've been in Asia for 25 years, I was a lot skinnier. But when I first came to Vietnam, you've got to remember, from our perspective, I'm from the UK. I was in the military, so I'm stood in the airport. I'm like, oh my God, I'm ex-military. I wonder what's going to happen. It's a communist country. What's it going to be like? Oh, I didn't tell anybody about my ex-military service. The moment I walked through those gates in Noi Bai Airport, I was like, this is just a wonderful country with so much to offer. And it was always my idea, really, from about literally 5 seconds of walking out the airport, to stay here. So we wanted to build something real. So Traveller was first. That's well underway. They've got something else going on as well, which is like a decentralized travel. And they're doing very well. So then we built DeFi For You. Now, the problem with DeFi For You was, obviously you've got porn online, and if you've got a watch, you can take a picture of it. You can hold it in a safe, but who's going to hold it safely? Are they going to give it you back? There's a big trust problem, right? To be fair, people have been known to abuse this sort of system. So we've had 3,000 plus now applications from porn companies globally to link up with the site, just like Booking.com did, just like Agoda did with Traveller. So at the moment, we're in the process of getting all those linked up. So it's a lot of work, But what it will mean is anywhere globally within a 2-year period, you'll be able to go online, either use a digital asset. Do you understand what I mean by a digital asset? I don't mean to be stupid, but do you understand that, Peter? No.
Yes.
Right. This cup, yeah. Now that I've drank from it, may have a value, right? If this cup had been drank from Prince Charles, right, when he got married to Lady Di, and this was the cup and they had a picture of it, that would actually have a value. But it's only a picture value. That's a digital asset, all right? These iPods are a physical asset because they have a worth in the real world, but there's nothing else around them than physical. So we have two types of assets. We have hard assets, and we have digital assets. Now, you're in the entertainment business, apparently, Pete. Somebody told me, is that right?
I try.
And Pat, you're in it slightly yourself, Pat, I believe, right? So when you're in the entertainment business, you do things yourself. Maybe you've made a record, maybe you've had a great show somewhere, maybe you've done a one-off piece of music or of art. And what usually happens is you'll go to an agent, right? Now, some agents are good, of course, and some agents aren't. Some agents are very, very greedy. Now, with something like Booking.com, they can take up to 35% of a booking, which is an awful lot of money for a hotel to pay on top of what they're going to pay to actually look after the client. When it comes to art, some of those artists are taking, some of the agents are taking up to 80%. Right. So if you're an artist and you've got digital art, it's very hard for you still to make a living, even if it's your art, to sell it because they take so much commission. So the idea really started about 4.5, 5 years ago. The real idea. And the one thing that everybody wants to crack, and nobody's cracked it yet, is property. We all know property and land has a value. Now that fluctuates all over the globe, and each country has its own set of rules, right? So, for instance, Pat, you may marry Peter because you're very drunk one night and you decide you want to go and buy a house in the UK. You can fly to the UK, you can buy a house in your name, freehold. Yeah? All right, so you can do that, no problem at all. As long as the Vietnamese allow you to take the money out of this country or whatever you pay for it, you can do that. You have the ability to do that. However, if you're in the UK and you want to buy over here, you can't. So the rules are different. Yeah. Well, you can if you're married and you have a company here. But so every country has a different set of rules to owning property. Right now, here's the big news. I'll say that for a while. So what complicates this whole thing is you can't just build another token for another country. It doesn't work that way on blockchain. All right. So when you attempt to do a real worldwide coverage, you've got to adhere to each country's law. So the UK, that's fine. That's why we started there. They've got a very fair system if you're a foreigner for buying anything there. All right. It's fair in Vietnam. It's fair in lots of places, but each country has different rules. So we actually have to build a blockchain for each country. All right. So instead of buying we could put a token online in literally 20 minutes. Yeah. But we have to build a blockchain. At the moment, we're building for Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, and UK. All right. So we have a platform that you can use your digital assets to loan against instead of sell. Now, I'll give you an example. Let's say you've got a painting and it's worth $100, okay? And you've got not a lot of money left because the wife or the boyfriend or whatever has gone and spent too much, and you've got to feed yourself. Now, you've got to feed yourself. So normally you'd have to sell that painting or that digital asset that you love. You'd have to sell it and get some money to make sure people were fed. Now you can loan against it. All right. So how do we know if that digital asset you're offering us is real or not? How do we know that? There's the problem. How do we know it? Yeah, it comes under the correct rules of that country. Yeah. So when people have talked about, and people are still talking about property as assets, obviously digital assets, but if you know what they're talking about, the first NFT for property was done in 2016, I think, the first one. But they did it on one chain. So they did it on one chain, okay, in one country. Until we worked a way of linking all our chains up, this was impossible to do. So what Dig Chain is, Dig, will be a chain for each country. Now, we don't have to start from scratch. We have the basics for each chain. The first one we're going to do is in Thailand. I can announce this now, okay? We were contacted by Thailand, and they wanted to sell $150 million worth of property, and they want to put it onto our platform. Yeah. Now, in Thailand, they have their own laws, which they've just changed for foreigners. So before you couldn't buy as a foreigner, you could buy an apartment, or you could find yourself a special girl or special boy and cross your fingers and hopefully, you stayed married and kept the apartment. That doesn't usually end too well, but nevertheless. So they've changed the laws that a foreigner can buy. So through the banking system now, through the digital asset system now, we'll be putting on, there's 30 villas going straight on, they're $5 million each. So you could be from Venezuela, your father can be from Czechoslovakia, your mum can be from Wales. It doesn't make any difference, okay? When the NFT is actually on there, it means that the lawyers check the land's okay, the lawyers check it's okay for a foreigner to buy, it's been recorded digitally, and then it's been put into what they call an NFT. And all that is a smart digital contract. And then that's recorded on a chain. And the reason that's done is so nobody can say that bit of paper or that block has ever been changed in any way. You can't change it. You can check. You and I have had a company, Pete, and we're going to play with our books. We can play with our books, but when they're recorded on a blockchain, you can't. So you know exactly what you're getting.
It's a smart contract.
All right.
Yeah.
And you can pay with crypto, and you can also pay with normal money for an property NFT. So the market is 232 trillion, I think, is the figure they're talking about for NFTs, which makes Bitcoin literally look like it's going nowhere. And I sort of firmly believe that Bitcoin will always be a store of wealth. Quite how high it goes, I don't know. But personally, I would rather buy either the property or a half share or a 20th share, like whatever. And at least I've got something for my money. And if everything goes wrong, okay, and the market crashes, and it will crash, they don't always keep going up. Markets crash. This is a fact of life. You have an asset with a real world value. And for me, property is always the one, yeah? Property or land. So the big news is we're doing it for Thailand first. We're also going to be doing it for, this is for government level, okay? At government level, right? We're also looking into doing it for Laos. Now, for all those people that live in Vietnam, and I love Vietnam, before we all go mad, right? Vietnam has always looked after its people. You know, it's a lovely country to live in. I'm sure there are restrictions I don't know about. I don't really care, but the people are good. Had a lovely time here. But your paperwork system here, when you buy a property, is very complicated. All right. I mean, just getting married. I think when I got married to my Vietnamese wife here, we had to go to this station here, then back over to Vin Phuc over to Hanoi over to wherever. Get a stamp here. You have another stamp here. So what's happened here is people own land and property in Vietnam, and it's not actually really recorded properly. Yeah. So a lot of people have built on land that they own, or they've been told they own, but they can't prove that. There's no red book, as they call it, right? So the system is a mess in Vietnam. So we're talking to the officials here to digitize that system, so it's easy. So at the moment, I mean, I know of one case where Granddad bought the land, or was given the land by the government. And then Grandma was given half the land, which she gave a quarter to her son, her eldest son, who gave some to the uncle he owed money to. The sisters got upset, and then they're suing each other for that. But there's no real record at the moment. The records of Vietnam for land they're not great. Yeah, it takes a long time to get them done properly. So we're looking to digitize that, and all this means is right. And the simplicity of this is this. Normally, when you buy a house, I'm going to use the UK as an example, right? When you buy a house in the UK, you find a house that you like, right? And it's a lot cheaper than buying here at the moment. You find a house that you like in the UK. You then go to a lawyer. That lawyer will then check that house actually has no debts against it, or that land has no debts against it. Make sure it's not in a floodplain. Make sure it does belong to the people selling it to you. It's called conveyancing. So all a digital contract is that we do the conveyancing for that goes online, and then that can be trusted, okay? And it's recorded. So it's just a way of buying things a lot easier, not waiting 6 to 12 weeks for your contracts to come through. We've already done the work. So all NFTs are a way of acquiring wealth that you can prove is yours, can be kept in your wallet or in your safe at home, okay? Now, the reason that we acquire wealth, or most of us acquire wealth, is because obviously for our friends, our family, and our future. At the moment, property prices are pretty high in Vietnam. Yeah, will that carry on? I don't know. I know I got here 10 years ago. They've had a boom and they had a bit of a bust. I don't know. But the point of buying anything is if you can buy, let's say, $100,000 worth of NFT land in Da Nang, for instance, okay, and life was great that year, but then you got your COVID hit and you're like, oh my God, I need to sell this now because I need this to feed my family. People know that. People know you're desperate. And if you're selling anything now in the UK or in Thailand especially, what was $1 million 2 years ago is literally like $250,000 now. So the prices have dropped because of COVID, nobody's fault. So instead of selling your asset, you can then use that asset that's proven and recorded on a blockchain to borrow against. Yeah. Now, believe this or believe this not, it's going to sound a little bit crazy. Banks are desperate to get money out to you because that's how they make their money, right? So if you haven't got any loans, then they're not making any money. But they're also very concerned of the financial situation in Vietnam at the moment, which is a lot of people haven't worked for a long time. So how much free liquidity is there? So you can take your NFT that's, let's say, worth $100,000. You could then use that to get like $25,000 loan against, let's say, for a year, okay? And that property may have gone up by 25%. The point is you can keep your asset. You're not being smashed down for a price. Do you get that? Because at the moment, everybody knows there's bargains to be had. And if there's any Chinese people listening, please forgive me. The Chinese are very good at business, but they're ruthless, okay? So they're all lined up in Thailand to go and buy these bars, these shops, these houses, these villas. I mean, lined up because they know it's a great time to buy. And they know that people in Thailand can't afford them. So what it does, it protects national assets, but it allows foreigners to own easily. If you've overspent for whatever reason, it allows you to get some money off your assets and get you through that year or two of hard times. So NFT, non-fungible tokens, there's two types. There's like owning a home, and then the other one is like that we've all heard of is the digital artwork. Yeah, have you seen that?
Yes,
I have
you seen how
about
much
20
money it sells
NFTs.
for?
it's unbelievable what some of them
Right.
sell.
I have plenty.
I mean, right? When you buy an NFT, you might buy it for $1, and it might sell next year for $20 million. That's speculate. It's speculative. You don't know. NFTs, in my opinion, are a lot more exciting than just buying a block, a digital currency, because it has a value, right? And let's say if you're a DJ like Pat, all right, and Pat becomes famous, all his artwork that he's recorded on NFTs actually has a value, yeah? And he controls that, not the agent. Because if the agent controls that, then the agent controls Pat. Pat never really has any money. The agent gets richer and richer, and it's just not a fair system. So NFTs are much more exciting, I think so, to own than just owning a normal type of cryptocurrency. So for me, and I'm hated for saying this by a lot of people, I think they're going to take over the crypto market. It just makes sense for me that they should. What is cryptocurrency? Well, before this, it was Bitcoin or Ethereum. You buy it low, hopefully, and sell it high. With NFTs, anything can be put online, yeah? But if it's a hard digital asset and it has a value and the market crashes, and which it will do at some point and go up again, but it will crash, you're safe with that, yeah? Now, you might bought a Gorilla Punk for $2 million NFT recently, and they're big at the moment, and that could be worth $10 million in 2 years' time. It could also be worth absolutely nothing. But there's less chance of that happening with NFTs than there is with normal digital currency. Yeah, I mean, I think
But also
in Vietnam.
Sorry, Adam. Sorry to cut you off. But with the NFT market now, it's not only just digital art. It's a lot of it is connected to play to earn, and have a lot of passive income that's linked to it. It's funny you bring the gorillas, for example, like Cyberkongs. Right now their floor is at 110 ETH. As that's the cheapest that you're going to get, but a lot of people think, okay, that's just a pixelated gorilla, but what they don't know is the underlying factor that it actually has passive income availability to the owner of that NFT. And like you said, now you could start to stake your NFT, and a lot of it is being connected to specific coins, specific rewards, if you're a long time holder. So a lot of people obviously are just flipping them, buying them, and then doubling their money and flipping. But the smart buyer, like the smart money is what we call it in the NFT game, is is actually buying good and holding for long term and actually receiving rewards. For example, like Cyberkongs, for the people watching, these owners are getting $900 of passive income a day from that NFT. So like just like what Adam is saying, these NFTs are going really strong, and it's possibly going to take over the crypto world.
Well, I'm hated for saying this, Pat. I'm going to completely agree with you. To me, it's a natural evolution to do so. People at the moment, a lot of people involved in crypto are what we call techies, right? What we would name as techies. And when I first got into it, and even now still, some of the terminology, I'm like, what are they talking about, right? What's they on about? But I understand this. I've got an NFT and it's paying me $900 a day. That's easy. So I have a painting or artwork or a film or whatever it may be, connect to a system where I get daily interest of $900 a day. And on our one, we've tested ours with our NFTs. I pick up between sort of $2,500 and $3,500 every day, daily income, every day. Now, going back 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, that's a huge amount of money. It's different now. I'm in crypto, but for anybody that wants to get involved, whatever NFT they'd like to buy, and of course we like them to get into DeFi and buy our dig, but we're going across the board here. What I really love about NFT is how it protects the artists. Because what's happened, the Simon Cowell effect, let's call it the Simon Cowell effect. Can anybody remember when there was a good band that came out of the UK?
From Simon?
You know, Coldplay, maybe the last. Remember Simon Cowell?
Yeah,
the guy in the UK.
The band that came out from him.
Didn't he do One Direction?
One Direction was his, and they took over the world too.
No, I think that was about Huey Lewis or something. But the point is, it's been a long time since a quality band like Coldplay or AC/DC or whichever one you like has come out of the UK, because the agents are so in control of them now. They get them so young. They sign that contract because they have to financially. They don't own their own artwork. They don't own their own songs. And yes, they get looked after to an extent at the beginning, but usually they get absolutely smashed by the agent. So I think for artists, it really opened things up. But an NFT for me is easy to understand. It's something I can understand. When you talk about blockchain technology, yeah, that's great, wonderful. But what does that actually mean? Do you know what it means? Do you understand what blockchain does?
Yeah.
Pete?
Kind of.
Yeah, that's just the reason I'm not trying to sort of catch you out. Most people don't have any idea what it means, right? Because they've heard of it, their friends doing it. It's just an accounting system. It's the perfect accounting system. Okay, it means that nobody can play around with it. All right, now, and that includes that's all it is. It's the perfect accounting system. You can't send money twice under the same guys. You can't record it twice. And when you have recorded it, it's recorded on millions of other systems. It's irrefutable. That's all it is. All right. And in the end, people ain't going to care about blockchain. At the moment, it's the buzzword, right? But if you go back 10 years ago, it was HTML. All right. Yeah. Now, when you book your holiday, you probably booked on a HTML system website, but you don't care about that, right? You don't care.
Really?
It just as long as it works well. And for me, if you want any type of investment, let's say you want to buy whatever type of from Christie's or a house or whatever you want to buy, you've got to go to an agent. And as soon as you start going to agents and auction houses, things start to get really expensive. And anything you buy from places like that, you're almost guaranteed that when you've taken it home, it's going to take a long time for that particular asset to go up in value. With NFTs, it sort of turns the whole thing on its head. You can buy that for $1 one day, and it can be literally worth $2 the next day, right? It has a real value. Now, artists, like the ones that we all know, like the sort of the AC/DCs of the world, obviously their NFTs are worth fortunes. But in Vietnam, the ones we're trying to get hold of, and it's not easy, are the propaganda posters and the propaganda stuff that was done for the war. That's incredibly popular. Globally, there's a huge interest in that. There's massive interest in Vietnam for their artwork generally. There's massive interest in Vietnam for anything that you do. And a lot of Vietnamese don't realize this because they're always looking outside of Vietnam to validate themselves. So, made in Japan or made in Korea. Globally, the world is literally looking at Vietnam. the tech development here is world class, absolute world class. Now, there's a language barrier, of course. There's a language barrier. I don't speak perfect English, but they do all right in English. But for what you pay for a team here, what you would pay for a team in the UK, it's a quarter of the price, and you don't have, and they're all quite new, which is great because they're all moldable, they're all new, they all work hard. So all an NFT is, and it's really simple, it's an asset that you've put online that you can prove you actually own. You can prove is actually real, and then yes, it can go up, and yes, it can go down. But if you buy in early, that's when you need to buy, and it's an asset for the artist that they can back themselves. If they've got a few NFT themselves, they can actually back themselves, provide money for themselves. But I talk too much sometimes. Let me make it very simple. You own an NFT property in Thailand. You need some money. If you sell that straight away now because the market is depressed and for obvious reasons, you're going to probably get less back for it than you paid for it 3 or 4 years ago because the market's gone right down. All right. So you've got no choice because you have to sell it because you've got a thing like kids. You need to eat. It's quite important. All right. What we're doing is allowing people, we're financing, right, people's NFTs. We're not, you can build them on our platform, fine. We're financing NFT. So if it's a real NFT, whether that's an art NFT, whether that's gold and silver, we've got a guy called Ludo. You know Ludo. You've met Ludo? Pete, I think. Little guy from Belgium. Anyway, he's one of our art dealers. So we've got with gold, silver, jewelry, property. These are all what you call hard assets. Now, this is where people might get a bit confused. If you have an NFT of gold, a bar of gold, and that bar of gold on the market is worth $50,000, and you've got that NFT, and that's yours, it's been secured for you, you know where it is, you own that NFT. You own $50,000 worth of gold, okay? That may trade for $400,000. People look at me like, well, why would anybody pay $400,000 for $50,000 worth of gold? Well, why would anybody pay $50,000 for a program called Bitcoin? It's got nothing behind it. So to me, when NFT trading starts, be careful because people they do get excited. They see the green and they all start buying the green. Yeah. But if it all goes wrong, you've got your bird in the hand with what we call a hard NFT. So if it all goes wrong, and sometimes it does, you've got something of value in your hand, so to speak. With purely speculative cryptocurrency, we all hear the stories of the winners, right? Everybody's a billionaire. Nobody's ever lost, right? Nobody tells you their stories of losing out. But Bitcoin could go down to absolutely zero, couldn't it?
It could.
It doesn't have a value other than what we've given it ourselves, what we decided. All right. If Elon Musk goes online tomorrow and says he's going to buy $2 billion worth of Bitcoin and it's the best thing that ever happened, then yeah, sure, it'll go up in value. But if he goes online tomorrow and says, do you know what, Bitcoin's going to fail, it actually could fail. So at the moment, the market is very, very, very agitated. Yeah, it's doing this. Yeah, and the way to win is to buy something with a real world value. And yes, you can speculate against it then. And sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose. But the worst scenario is at least you get your stake money back. Yeah, at least you've got your stake money back. So we built the DeFi For You is the platform you can use to take in your asset, and we're building the dig chain so you can put your asset on there with the rules of that country. Yeah. So then you can take your asset from Germany and you can go onto our site. We can check it, make sure it's on the proper chain, check the contract. Because people, believe it or not, companies are desperate to lend money out. One of the big problems they've got at the moment is they can't lend out.
Where does one get started at this point? Like, let's say in our views out there, it looks like we've got a lot of people who are very knowledgeable about DeFi. But let's say someone who's interested now, they got a little bit of money they can put aside. Where do they get started with you guys?
Well, when you get started, the best way to get, this is my opinion, this is not forever, it's only what I think. First of all, start small, right? Forget trying to be a billionaire, all right? Start small. Take what you can afford to lose, because probably you're going to get it wrong a couple of times. That's okay. These things happen, all right? People start small. So let's say you buy $100 worth of DeFi or $100 worth of Bitcoin or $100 worth of whatever you want to buy. And what people then, they tend to do is they buy their crypto or their NFT, and then they spend all day then looking at the market. They become obsessed with the price. If it drops by a penny, they start crying. If it goes up by 20 cents, they're all going whoop, 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 whoop. Here's a bit of information that people really need to understand, and I don't think that they do, and it's really good. It's not so much of an inside track. It's just me being totally honest, okay? It doesn't matter what it's worth, what it says on CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, all right? If there is no trading volume on it, you can't sell it, because as soon as you start selling it, the price drops out of the sky. So what you really need to be looking at are trading volumes, all right? If there's got no trading volume on it, and you own 100,000 Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's at $50,000, and you sell them all at once, you'll drop that price literally to zero yourself. Okay, so forget that value that they keep showing you that gets people excited, the green. Look at the trading volume. When you need to cash out or want to cash out or want to cash in on your NFT or your crypto, do it slowly, not all at once. Do it slowly, not all at once. Okay, the best way to get into the market is small. Now remember, everybody's an expert. Right? I'm not an expert. I'm learning every day still. There's no such thing as an expert in cryptocurrency. Nobody's been around long enough. So when people start saying they're experts in it and follow me, they're lying to you. All right? It's changing all the time. In my humble opinion, NFTs are the final evolution of if you like, cryptography. It's the final evolution of cryptocurrency as we know it. Now, I'll explain why. Years ago, Pete, you and I were in the UK. We decided we want to go to Portugal in the 1600s, and we want to buy a load of cocaine. No, I'm joking. A load of spices. Okay, we want to go and buy a load of spices from Portugal, and we want to use gold to buy it. But that gold's heavy, so we go to the bank. They give us a note saying that the gold is in the bank, and we take that note over to Portugal, and we buy all these spices and come back. Yeah, that's how money started. Yeah. So what the bank did was they made that gold into an NFT. Not a digital one, a written one. Yeah. They gave you that note saying that you own that. That's real. It's been held in a vault. When we went to Portugal the other side to buy our spices, they understood that's from the bank. Those are the notes. And they gave us the goods and back we came. That gold didn't move. Didn't need to move. Yeah. It'll be the same with NFTs. But NFTs aren't just about gold and silver and oil. They're about tea and coffee and bricks and mortar and anything at all you want to put on as an asset. What you may buy some land in Venezuela now today for $100 that maybe next year's worth $20,000. Right? Nobody can tell you what the value is going to be, but at least it probably in a year's time you would at least get your money back if you sold it. And if you're trying to sell it in a hard market, instead of trying to sell it in a hard market where nobody's buying, you use that then as collateral to keep you going. Like you come to DeFi For You, put it on there, lend, borrow against it, and that'll keep you going until you want to sell it at the right price. So it stops people from getting into very bad, very hard financial corners, because people like investment bankers who invest in you at the beginning and are lovely. As soon as there's a crack in the market and they know you're struggling, they come in and take the lot off you. Most banks do the same thing, I'm afraid. Right? Do you know what the word mortgage means? Mm-hmm. Do you know what it means? The word mortgage? The word mortgage, where you go and get a loan for get a loan for your house. It means mort, which is a rope, and gauge means to hang. So the word mortgage means mort gauge, to hang yourself. Because if you get a loan for 25 years, Pete, probably at some point along those 25 years, you're going to have a problem. Yeah? The banks are sort of counting on it. Yeah? You're going to be divorcing, or you're going to lose your job, or there's going to be COVID. And they then repossess all that. Thank you very much. And start again. This way, you could buy in little amounts you can afford. You can have a little bit in Venezuela, a little bit in Vietnam, some in Laos, some in the UK. Spread your assets across. Some will do well, some won't do too well. But you can cash them easily. And now, because DeFi For You are doing loans against NFTs, you no longer have to cash them in if the price is low. You can loan against them. So what a lot of people will do with Bitcoin is they put their life savings in, for instance, when it was at, 46, because everyone was going, it's going to moon, it's going to 100,000 soon. And they keep reading this, and they keep watching this, and they put all the money in, and boom, it's down to 35,000. They panic then, that's all the money they've got. They've got to sell. They sell, they're out the market. That's done on purpose, in my opinion. That's done a lot with Bitcoin on purpose. People talk about it going to $1 million. Come on. You think so? It's going to be $1 million? I'd love it to be $1 million, of course. But why would it go to $1 million? What would cause it to go to $1 million? Only if people believe it to be so. With the NFT market, it's got hard world assets. I'm not going to say the guy's name, but a very good friend of mine has got £1.5 million worth of Rolexes that he's bought over the last year and a half. Rolexes have gone up by over 35%. Second-hand good quality Rolexes have gone up by over 35% in the last year. Yeah, 35%. Does anybody know why?
Why?
Well, at the moment, if you put your money in the bank, it's actually a depreciating asset. In some countries, you've got to pay to put your money into the bank now. So you've got to actually pay the bank a certain, like a 1% fee to have your money in a savings account because it's negatively geared. Yeah, there is no more real inflation out there that they can put on there. So people are coming out, they're buying assets like watches and yachts and land and property. So hard assets for me make things real. Yeah. Okay. Now that doesn't mean you can't make money on NFTs that aren't hard assets, because you've seen some of the artwork go recently for incredible amounts. I think the first big one went for 69 million and everyone was like, woo, NFTs. Do you remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, that guy, what they didn't say was that guy had been building those NFTs every day for 10 years, putting 4 on every day for 10 years. They didn't say that, but they just said it's one picture. The point being is most artwork has a value. You never know quite what it's going to do. But if you're an artist and you do your own NFTs, you're in control of your own finances, right? You don't need that manager.
We've actually got some ideas that we're going to try, and then we might have to run it by you as well.
Run them by me. Run them by. I talk too much. It's your turn.
Offline, because
one of my questions for you, Adam, is, everything has risk involved into it. You're talking about land as far as NFT. Obviously, we're talking about digital art. I am heavy on the NFT game at the moment, and I've seen a lot of what we call rug and pulls, where people these artists are creating amazing roadmaps for these NFTs, limiting it to 10,000, and people are hyping in and buying into it. And then once it's sold out, the rug is then pulled, and they've gone with 1,000 Ethereum's just gone. So can you talk about the risk that's involved as far as with DeFi and staking and loaning and pawning your NFTs in a sense?
Yeah, sure. Good question for me. Thank you very much. And like I said, I paid you for that question, because that puts us right into where I want to be. One of the hardest things here was because, or for any company that's launching crypto, is that it's very, very expensive to get the whole machine moving and the whole company moving and platforms built and the right people involved and the influencers and the licenses and blah, blah, blah. And it's tens of millions of dollars. So what I think happens is, I think a lot of these artists start off with all the best intentions. Yeah. So they start off and they're making some money, and then they realize they need an advertising budget of £100,000 a month. They need to be paying these developers £100,000 to keep it growing. And then all of a sudden they realize that what they thought was a very profitable business, if they keep having to leave all their money in the system, they could lose it all. Yeah. And they panic. So initially they didn't start off to do that, but they panic and they pull the rug and they pull all the money out. The ones that are the worst, of course, are the ones that go on there as a complete lie. All right. So I watched one the other day. I'm not going to mention which platform it went on, but it went up to $14 billion in about, apparently, the worth of the blockchain very quickly in about 12 days. They had a billion tokens, but they hadn't sold a billion tokens. They sold less than 1%, and they controlled that price. So it made it look like that was a really expensive blockchain. But when you look down at the trading volume, you can see that it was all just a complete lie. And we have to put money in ourselves into what they call pools, so people can mine out of that pool. Put simply is, we put money into like a high interest account, if you will, and you can then use that high interest account to take money out every day in cash, okay, or to leave there and reinvest. All right. But if I pull that money out, there's nothing for you. It's called a rug pull. I think about 80% of all the cryptos that have ever been put out there have done that. How do you know somebody's going to pull the rug or not? That's a very good question. And when it comes to finance, who do you trust? That's another great question. When we did, going back to Traveller again, I'm sorry for going back, but that's when we first started. I was literally on my moped with a laptop under my arm with this idea. I wasn't a rich guy in any way, shape, or form. I've been involved in crypto for a while, but I was on my last legs financially. Yeah. When we did the pre-IPO, which is like the raising of the money before we go to raise it properly, I think we raised about $1 million. Now we went from no money at all in our account to $1 million. Yeah. So that, if you've got no money and then all of a sudden you've got $1 million, it goes across everybody's heads like, well, we've got $1 million there. If we just take our million, sell out now, who's going to know? And there are no rules against that. There are no rules against that because it is
unregulated at the moment.
Yeah. So you can do that. And if you haven't used your own name, nobody knows who you are. And then we did another, like the IPO, raised another few million. So we had a few $1 million sat in an account to build this platform. And we could have at that point quite happily pulled the rug and walked away and done really well. That was never our thinking. So we proved with Traveller we weren't going to do that. We've now proved with DeFi that we don't do that. And obviously with Dig we'll do the same thing. So trust has to be earned. Who do you trust? Well, another problem with crypto. Yeah, I mean, a big problem with crypto is there's a lot of young people involved. So if they see an influencer, some girl, some boy, whoever that may be, and that influencer says, yeah, buy that crypto, remember they've been paid to say that, right? They ain't doing that for free, yeah? Unless there's a few genuine ones on there, but mostly what we call influencers get paid cash and tokens. So yes, even if this tea is going to give me cancer in the next 10 minutes, but somebody's paying me $10 billion, I'm going to say it's nice. And that goes for all celebrities. I think we need to move away from a crypto celebrity. I think it's very bad for the market because people are getting paid huge amounts of money to say that it's good or it's bad or whatever they want to say. People buy on that. It pumps it. People see more green because it's growing up. If anybody comes on any program, any celebrity, and says that they like a crypto and they give the reason why they like it, fair enough. But usually if they just come on and say, hey, I'm buying this one's great, you buy this one too, it's just a pump and dump. Until you've got the trading volume, you've got nothing. You can't sell it if nobody's buying it. And you can't sell it if only a very few people are buying it, because if you do, you drop the price. So there's all sorts of blags out there. People are like, oh, where do I start? Look, I don't want to go on about banks, but I'm not a great fan of banks. I know we need banks, of course. I don't think they're the best systems. There's problems with banks as well. And there'll always be problems with people that lie and cheat. That's just a part of human nature. And that's why we've got it right down to the basics. So on the platform, I can lend or borrow myself to whoever I choose at the rates that I'm allowed to on that platform. Okay? So we then become our own banks, if you like. Now, there's going to be good people on there that will do great business. We'll get a great reputation. It'll be recorded and people will go to, and they will grow naturally. And there's going to be, of course, the odd person that comes on there and it's naughty and steals it and disappears. That's going to happen. I mean, if you've heard of eBay, right? eBay?
Yep.
eBay, another one of Elon Musk's inventions.
I don't think I've ever bought anything on eBay, actually.
I used to back when I was in Sydney.
There's a lot of scams on there too.
Yeah.
People selling PlayStations, just the box and not the PlayStation.
Yeah. Like eBay in the UK, there are scams, but with the reputation, it's pretty much clean. But eBay literally could not open in Vietnam 10, 15 years ago because the Vietnamese were just wanting to grab it while they could. They weren't really grasping the system. Now they do, you know. So some things you can trust. Who do you trust? I don't know who you trust. It's a very good question. But what you can trust is a blockchain recorded asset. There it is. It's been recorded. Right, we get people in for Ludo, which is the guy here who is a jewelry dealer, also makes jewelry, also buys and sells diamonds. Great guy. He's our valuer here. I've got a valuer in the UK. So if anybody wants to put anything valuable on, really valuable, we go and have a look at it first to make sure it is what we say it is. Because if we put it on the blockchain and we record it as us assessing the value of it, and it isn't that value, that's down to us. That's our mistake, and we would pay for that. All right. So the real skill in this is having the shops involved. Yeah. Now, at the moment, most pawn shops are dying the death, right? Because people, believe it or not, haven't actually been pawning much in the COVID problem. So most of their lending's down. So we're linking up globally with all the shops across the world, give people a digital asset option or a real world option. They can use crypto either side to buy or to sell. And because it's not new, it's not a new bike or it's not a new car, okay, we are around the law on that. But we are really following governments at the moment because governments aren't against crypto. It's the perfect accounting system, right? This is what people aren't really grasping. Governments actually are going to love crypto because you're going to be taxed all your assets, all your cryptography. You're going to be taxed at source, irrefutably. All right, no getting around it. The reason that we need to stay together, make sure we keep growing, is we don't want just one government controlling all our assets. We don't mind playing, of course. All right, but as we know, things can go wrong with governments. If we have control of our own digital assets, governments are going to know about that. It's all recorded on the blockchain. I can see if I look at your chain, Pete, and I know your wallet address, I can see everything you spent or haven't spent or traded for as long as you've been around. So this idea that it's all a secret, it's nonsense. Governments are very keen to tax it, obviously. So we've gone to them first, and we've been very open about what we're doing. So when it does come to be taxed, because it we'll be very lowly taxed. I don't mind 5%. I can stand on that, but 25%, I'm not interested in. Okay, it'll kill the system. So we have to understand that governments aren't looking at it in a bad way. Quite the opposite. They're looking at it, clever ones, going, this is really good. This takes out all the accountancy. Yeah, and this takes us checking everyone's records. It's just there for everyone to see. So crypto actually is the perfect accounting system for governments. What are NFT worth? So at the moment, I would say NFTs personally are the best buys in the market. There's nothing out there that compares to NFT. Nothing, not even close. Right now, tomorrow, maybe Mickey Mouse has a baby with a donkey, and that becomes a new cryptocurrency, and everybody buys that. Right? I don't know, because NFTs are anything. They can be property, they can be land. Everyone understands that. Most people own some form of property or land somewhere. That's why we want to offer them loans against it. But NFTs can be anything. We're going online in a way that we never even dreamt of 10, 15 years ago. Everyone talks about AI and they talk about the revolution of the internet and the coming and the smart technology. The real big one in our generation is blockchain. But it's such a boring name, blockchain. Most people are like, it's all geeky. But it's gonna help us. It's going to help us control our own money. It's going to help us get loans or borrow a lot easier. It's going to help us be in control of our future much better. And it's also going to help governments understand that we're not all multimillionaires, because they can look, and they are looking, make no mistake, they're looking. We're not all multimillionaires, we're just people. And it lets them understand our finances a little bit better than before. Because with a bank account in the UK, anything over £500, they're allowed to look at. That's a UK law. Right, I don't know what the law is in Vietnam. They're allowed to look at that particular bank account, anything you move. So they're already looking, they already know, and all blockchain does make it very easy for them to account. All right, so you can't change a ledger. If you and I owned a club, Pete, we bought a 19, let's say, and we want to sell our club now, the last 2 years, the books would be pretty grim, right? Because we'd have been closed most of the time. So if we came to sell that club now, it would not go for a good price. Well, that's an extreme example, but let's say in the UK we had a bad 6 months. We could get an accountant in that was very good at their job, and they could make it look like, that let's call it cooking the books. And there's nowhere else it's recorded, so we have the books. There's our books. Have a look at those. Fabulous. You buy it, and that happens all the time. Again, cryptography, cryptocurrency, and blockchain stops all that. It means that when you see a value for something, whether you agree with the value is entirely up to you. But when you see a value of it, that is actually the value. But the one thing that I would, for any anybody new to cryptography, and I'll say this again, is look at the trading volumes. Stop watching how much it's going up by. Don't worry about that. Think of it as a 2-year, 5-year, even a 10-year process if you need to. All right. When you want to sell, make sure trading volumes are high. Then you can sell at the right price. Trading volumes are probably the most important thing in crypto that nobody's really explaining. Yeah, nobody's explaining it, because I'll have people ring me up. We had a bit of a pump in DeFi. I don't know why. Just had a bit of a little bit. It went up by 80% in the day or whatever. Somebody had said something to somebody somewhere probably, and everyone's ringing me up going, whoa, 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 whoa. I said, right. Until we're on the big exchange, right? Until we've got the trading volumes, yeah, it doesn't mean anything. People, what do you mean? Aren't you happy, Charlie? Why aren't you happy? Of course I'm happy. I like to see the price go. The price is irrelevant until we've got the trading volumes. How do you get trading volumes? You get global. You get your cryptocurrency to be used globally. It's got and to be used because there's a need for it. Yeah, if there's a need for a product, it's going to be used. And the reality of this, it's hard work building a company. That's it. And the more effort we put in, and the bigger the platform, and the more partnerships, and the more we link up with the property developers, yeah, sure, the more we make. But the rug pull for me is one that really, that Pat talked about. That's the one that really annoys me in crypto because, you know, it's done. I'd say about 80% of the people who get involved in crypto have lost money on a rug pull. It's that high, you know. And then it becomes the crypto. It's a con. It's not. It's probably the most honest thing to ever happen in finances in millennium. All right. It's always going to be open to abuse because people have got that inherent sort of greed button within them that gets pressed sometimes and they can't help it, or fear. But you know, I can't say his name, but he's my brother-in-law. He's absolutely sold on Bitcoin, right? He thinks it's going all the way, and he's no fool. He's no crypto fool. He knows his stuff for sure. And I put the odd comment on about NFT, like sort of being like the new Bitcoin, and he's not having that at all. I could be completely wrong, people. Yeah, these are only my opinions. But they are my opinions, but I stand by them. I work by them. And if anybody asks me to explain why or answer the phone, they can do. What I found with crypto is it's very hard to speak to a founder unless they're doing a podcast. Have you noticed that? Or to a CMO or to a CFO. When you send an email to anybody in a decentralized system, I know they're not hiding, but there's nobody there to answer your questions, is there? So you got a question, there's nobody there to answer it for you. So the best you can do is ask your friend who bought Bitcoin 5 years ago that question that probably has no relevance to your question. Yeah. So that's the best you can do, right? We have like 5 people on the phones, on the emails, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can ask as many questions as you want. You can ask about how to stake it, how to mine it, how to farm it, what's the best way to do with it, right? Because I think crypto's missing that. I mean, we've taken that from the holiday sort of market. I think crypto's missing that. People get a little bit stuck, you know. And years ago, when I bought my computer, I always thought if I got a bit stuck, the best thing to do was to kick the computer down the stairs. That didn't work too well, all right? And then I started getting people over to IT people. They come along and they turned it off and they turned it back on again, and then they charged me $50. I ran that, okay, and you learn slowly. The thing with crypto is each cryptocurrency is actually just a different idea on a blockchain. Yeah, that's all it is. Now, you've heard of like Bitcoin Cash, right? Bitcoin Cash?
Yeah.
Now, what is Bitcoin Cash? It's about $1,000 at the moment. I don't look all the time. It's about $1,000. All Bitcoin Cash is a complete copy of Bitcoin, the actual Bitcoin chain, first one. They call it a fork. They just made it faster. That's all. Mm-hmm. Printed a program that made it faster, and it's $1,000 a program. Now, I can't see how that stays there, because at some point it can't stay there. I could be completely wrong, but I do see how a piece of land or a piece of property or some good artwork or a very good performance or a great song is always going to have some sort of value. So for me, maybe the returns on NFTs aren't going to be as high as you got if you bought Bitcoin 10 years ago for 1 cent and it's now selling for $50,000. But Bitcoin is the example everyone uses, and it may be a store of wealth, yes, but I'd rather store my wealth in something that actually has a real value as well, just to make it safer, in my humble opinion. Any more questions?
So, yeah, just for the final question for you, Adam, for myself and Petey, you briefly spoke about government. We know the gray area of crypto right now in Vietnam. How are you guys moving towards that as far as legalizing in a sense, or having the push for DeFi within Vietnam itself?
Right. Okay. All governments are looking at cryptocurrency. At the moment, the very, very poor ones like Laos, for instance, they made it completely legal about a week ago now, because they're desperate for any type of income to come in. But what they're looking to do is they're looking at the currency itself to use themselves to have, let's have a BND cryptocurrency, and that will just be a transfer of wealth. Yeah, so it'll be like one BND is worth one BND. It will only fluctuate whatever a BND fluctuates for, and that's easy for those that have used cryptocurrency. It's very easy to send money in and out. Yeah, governments are nervous about it because, let's be honest, it's a bit confusing, right? I'm in it, all right, and I don't know enough about, it's every single day. Oh, okay, something new. Oh, something new. So when governments have got something that's got sort of 6 to 10 to 12 to 20,000 new currencies coming out in 1 year, they think their currencies are not their ideas on blockchain. So what governments are doing is those that are really broke are going to just say yes straight away because they need the money. You've got to understand that's where the Cowboys are going to go. The reason we've gone to yeah, I mean, they've got to. They've got no choice. Well, why wouldn't you? Yeah. I don't really know. Yeah, but again, if you look at El Salvador, Bitcoin is actually the worst choice because it's too slow. You go in the shop to pay for a cup of coffee, you might have to make 20 minutes to an hour for that transaction to go through when you pay by Bitcoin. Yeah. Correct. So then you've got Bitcoin Cash. Governments are looking at it. Some of them are looking at it in a very positive manner, like Singapore government is, the UK government is, the Hong Kongese are, although the Chinese want to take the whole thing for themselves, as they always do. But most governments are very interested. It's not that they don't trust it, they don't understand it. And the trouble with it at the moment is there's an awful lot to understand because it's been made to look very complicated. But I think NFTs as digital assets, right, it's simple. You've got something here worth $1 and you want to get a 10 cents loan against it. It's been recorded, it's yours, bang, you can do that. That's easy, right? That's a loan. And the oldest form of loan is pawn. They'll get that. They're all looking at it. At some point, the big picture, we'll have one world currency. Maybe that's in 5 years or in 10 years. That's definitely going to happen. But it doesn't mean that the cryptocurrency doesn't work because we're doing pawn. We're doing loans against property and houses, digital assets. That's what we do. That's our unique selling point is we're the only group in the world that will actually loan you against a hard asset NFT. We're actually, have you heard of ITV? ITV in the UK, anyone? TV. Have you heard of the BBC? The BBC?
Yeah, BBC News.
Well, in the UK, we pay, they're like our main channel. We pay a license fee for. But the first independent channel is called ITV, okay? Which is like as big as the BBC, but they have adverts on there to pay for their channel. We're going on ITV to be the first ever company in the world ever to take a hard NFT, right? I won't tell you which one it is, but it's worth quite a lot of money. A hard NFT that that will be confirmed, verified online there and then as being that guy's or girl's asset of $1 million, $2 million, whatever it is. Right? Then they can take that straight to our platform, and let's say it's worth $1 million. They can get a loan literally in about 20 minutes. We hold that asset online digitally. They can get a loan for like $250,000 like that within an hour. And we're going live on British TV to do it. So what it means is it monetizes lots and lots of things that we didn't know we could monetize before. If you want to do that with a bank, you can do that with a bank, of course, but that will take you 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever. So it's going to make things financially a lot more liquid. Some people are going to win and some people are going to lose. Any government that wants to understand it totally fully before they go into it, it's going to get left behind. Those that lead the way, put regulation on it. They have to have regulation. Everyone hates me for that. When I say that, you've got to have regulation. I hate you for that. It's deregulated. Yeah, decentralized. These are lovely things to happen, and it's a beautiful country, and it's lovely and shiny. We all love each other. Most people you meet are great people. Yeah, of course, but you need to have some form of governance over it. Otherwise, you'll get cowboys on there doing loans for 120%, like it's been done in America, payday loans. In America, people don't have an account. They go and cash their check. They'll go and cash their check in America, and they get charged 120% over 3 months for cashing in $100. They have to pay back $120. So it's going to stop all that. Governments, some will be quick, some will be slow. But to be fair to the Vietnamese government, we've been speaking to, I mean, I don't speak to them, Kong, my partner does, because obviously I don't speak a lot of Vietnamese. They're very open to the idea of it. They're very interested in the idea of it. They just want to know how it works a little bit more before they stop putting regulation on it. But it's not far away for sure. And don't panic. That doesn't mean everyone's going to start getting taxed. It just means that, you know, they're going to get involved in a system that's good for Vietnam as well as the people. So I would say the government reaction is really good for poor governments because they need it. People like Vietnam and the UK are watching it, and it will be regulated. I'm happy to pay my 5%, to be honest. And I can do that, and it's all at source, all done for me. So that's going to happen. But some governments, like if I was an American government, why would I want crypto to grow? If I was the currency of the world, I would be very much against it, of course. Yeah. It's not gonna help me. So I think America is going to be one of the tougher markets. Although, obviously, they have their own type of systems in place, and I'm sure that they'll have a digital dollar very shortly. They have a dollar now. They have dollars online now that have only the value of whatever the dollar is. You know that, right?
Stable coins.
Yeah, stable. Not stable coin. Stable coin. So if it's $1, you buy for $1, you sell for $1. Yeah. So they have those now, but you can have $1 million worth of stable coins and get paid 9% interest a year on that. Now, that might not sound a lot to a lot of people in crypto, but if you're in normal investments and you're getting 9%, 10% guaranteed every year, that's a hell of an investment usually, yeah?
Some APYs are even 30%.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it as 99 at one to get the people involved, like special offers. It doesn't run forever, but let's say an average is 9%. I thought governments would be happy with that. I'm wrong. They like the stable coin. They don't like the interest on it because they want to control the interest. So stable coins are here to stay, and there'll be a US dollar stable coin soon for sure. There'll be some form of Chinese stable coin, I would say, within the next 3 years. They've already blocking everything they can with crypto to do their own. But that doesn't stop what we're doing. We're still developing ideas on the blockchain. So some governments like it, some governments don't, but they've all got their eye on it for sure. Is my answer in short.
Well, thank you for that, Adam.
That's awesome, Adam. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you didn't catch the beginning of the stream, you can rewatch it when it gets posted. Adam, don't go away. We're going to cut to a quick break. And when we come back, we'll have a few final games with you and we can wrap up the show. So don't go away, ladies and gentlemen.
Lovely. Speak to you soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you just joined us, this is a pretty late show where the party never stops with our special guest, Adam Chaplin.
Are we on live?
For you. A lot of great information there if you guys are new to the game, especially like me. I'm a newbie and I got into crypto, obviously, not from influence from celebrities, but I got into a good friend of mine here, Pat, who has a high financial background because that was his job before then. And obviously meeting Mr. Chaplin himself and then I guess learning a little bit here and there. It's not something that you learn overnight. It's something it's a lot to take in, and so it's a good thing to do your own research as well, not just always listen to what you hear out there and the hype. But Adam, so on the show we always have a little bit of fun with our guests, and we like to do some things where we find that might work with our guests. So one of the games is this. So we'll play the stinger for you.
Overrated, underrated, overrated, underrated, over-unders.
Here we go. So we've got 4 images that we'll show you, and you'll have to give us quick your thoughts if you think it's overrated or underrated.
Just got to let us know your thoughts.
Okay. Here's the first one.
Oh my. Ready.
Manchester City.
Who are they?
That's the answer right there.
All right. Second one.
Man United.
Man United. No, never heard of them. No, sorry, not coming through yet.
Really?
No. I'm from Wales, okay? So
Yeah.
the country I'm from, our national sport, UK, actually
Gaelic
it's
football.
rugby. Well, sort of, it's rugby. So it's rugby. So I've always loved rugby. I know in Vietnam everybody loves football. A lot of people love football in the UK. So I say that jokingly. If I have to support a football team, it's Man United. I know my friend Eric's probably watching this. So to me, Man United globally are probably the best football team. Maybe not to play against, but they're the most well known. They are the cream of. They are the Walker's whiskies of football, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Next.
Robbie
Williams.
AC or DC? Great guy. Been through an awful lot. My friend, this is a true story. Believe this or not, many years ago, I was a Green Beret Royal Marine Commando a long time ago. But my friend went into security, and he got a call saying, "Look, we've got this guy here from Take That. Wanted to look after. He's on drugs. He's been a bit of a nightmare. It doesn't pay well. It doesn't pay well, but you haven't had a job yet. You've just left the Marine, so you need to build up your resume. Come and be his bodyguard." So he took the job. I'm not going to say any names. Long story short, then Robbie then went on to become, in his own way, to become a megastar. He now lives next door to him in Beverly Hills in a house he bought for him. They've become great mates. So I think he's back in the UK now, but my friend's still in Beverly Hills. So a really nice guy. He's been through the mill, come out the other side. He's married with kids, but I'm sure he plays for both teams. That's all I'm going to say.
So underrated.
I like it. So he's underrated.
Underrated, sure.
Next,
Nice guy.
DeFi, decentralized
Absolutely.
finance.
I think it's the key for us normal people. It's underrated at the moment for sure.
Yeah.
People haven't really grasped it yet. It's going to be a normal word, like a mortgage is a normal word in 10 years. So underrated. But I think really, if people really think about this, and this is an answer I think everyone should listen to, is they need to go onto the DeFi For You platform and buy some tokens, start there, and from there, they'll be given full support. Sorry about that. That was a complete plug, but I just threw that one in there.
Oh, good.
We'll plug it again.
We were about to plug it anyway.
So that's the last of the over-unders game. The next one we have is this.
This one or that one?
So I've got a video to play, and it will have a slide. And on each of the slides, you get 5 seconds. It'll have two things. You've got to choose one or the other.
Yeah, just one or the other.
Okay.
You got to be quick.
So
Right.
just one or the other. And here we go.
Coffee.
Your tea.
Hanoi Pho.
Of course.
Stone. Oh no, Queen. Oh shit, Queen.
Queen. Oh, you reneged.
USTD.
Yes.
Tether. Harry. It's got to be Harry. Oh, Danang. Budgie smugglers, obviously.
Yes, budgies.
Oh no, bum gun. I love bum gun.
The bum gun.
Bomb gun.
And then the last one.
Bum gun. Oh come on, bangers and mash. Give me a sandwich. Of course.
No bangers
Bangers
and
and
mash.
No bangers.
Yeah.
No bangers and mash.
Well, Adam's from Wales, so that's why. That's why he chose the bun meat too.
Fair enough.
I'm going to play the game a little
We
bit.
always end our show with a quick rapid fire 1 minute 60 seconds where you're going to have to answer without thinking, and we're going to throw you any sort of questions. Adam, are you ready?
Yeah.
Just quick ones.
You ready?
Just quick ones. Yep.
So
Yeah.
you going first?
I'll go first.
Start the clock.
Lights on, lights off.
Adam,
Lights on, lights off.
lights on or lights off?
Oh, off. Definitely off.
Top or bottom?
Oh, bottom.
Wipe over or wipe under?
Say that again.
Wipe over or wipe under?
Both.
Would you date the Queen for one night?
Sure. Absolutely.
Left hand or right hand?
Left hand every time.
Video or pictures? Oh, we just lost Adam.
Oh
He just came off the. He just exited.
Ladies and gentlemen, he got scared.
He got scared.
He got scared of all the
Very
questions.
random.
It's either that or his queen at home has
It just said,
cut the internet.
Adam, actually.
I lost you. That's sorry, Jed. You went straight off. I don't know why.
That's all
What
right.
was that last question?
What was my question?
We had the Queen date. Of course, you would date the Queen.
I don't know. Even I forgot my question. Then
We'll start the clock. We've got 20
you go.
seconds left. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Shower before or shower after?
After.
Straight into it.
Apples or oranges?
Oh, apples.
I know what I said. I said pictures or videos.
Videos.
And last question: Bitcoin or Ethereum?
I can't hear that. Sorry, I
Bitcoin
didn't hear
or
that.
Ethereum?
It's broken. It's broken. The whole thing. I can't hear anything. To be honest with you, I have to say, if I'm going to answer honestly, DeFi for you, DFY.
That's
it's
the
a better
answer
bet
we
for
were
sure.
looking for.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
answer.
the one. Be biased, I
Fantastic.
know,
Thank
but-
you so much.
Absolute pleasure,
Adam,
gentlemen.
thanks so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, you can get at DeFi on their Facebook page, DeFi for You, DFY, and obviously the website, defiforyou.uk. All the information is on there, the white papers on there, so you can learn like a newbie like me and get into it. And like Adam said, please get your hands on some DeFi. What's a good starting point? How much?
Well, no, I mean, for me, it doesn't matter what your budget is. Just buy $200. You know that gets you
perfect.
involved in it. You know, if you lose it and you make a mistake, it's not a disaster. And I actually don't tell anybody this. Right, this is our secret. I've never actually bought one ever any crypto. No, I've just only ever made it.
Really?
I've never bought it. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, because I know because if I make it,
How do we trust
We're
you?
gonna have to dive deep, like go into that once we go into our next show with you, Adam.
Definitely.
I can trust myself. I know that everything we've done is real world. You know, I know that all the news that we put out is real. I know when we have a bad time and a good time. When I said I've never bought it, I bought it with money that I've made through crypto, but I never went on initially and just bought crypto because when I tried it, years ago, it was very hard years ago to buy crypto. You had to be sort of like a mathematician. There was no wallets. There was like your MetaMask and all over the place. I used to give money to my brother-in-law who would buy for me. So I have bought it really, but personally myself, I never actually went on and bought any new. We've hopefully with the DeFi for You made it easy enough for a newbie to come on to buy a small amount of crypto, to have a look at it, see what NFTs are, and when they have problems with it, which they will, we've got an email system we answer to, we've got a chat system we answer to. So they can actually speak to people. I mean, I'm on Facebook as a CEO, and it's all over my Facebook. And I get, 300-400 messages a day. I answer as many as I can. We're very open. So buy a small amount, engage with the company you bought off. Don't believe all the hype. And if you can hold it, the longer you can hold it for, the better. That's my advice.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, guys. Thanks again. Once again, Adam, thank you so much for your time. For those of you guys,
Absolute pleasure.
Get all the information. He's regurgitated everything into the last hour and a half. I'm sure you will learn something out of it. And like he said,
And Pat, when we get down here, I'll probably have a juice with you because my wife's listening. If my wife's not listening, we'll have a beer together.
Definitely.
We got an NFT idea that I'm going to speak to you offline sometime too as well. So
Okay.
yes, I'll reach out to
No
you
problem.
for sure.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that, Pete and Pat. Smash you nicely, and we'll speak to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
What
Adam.
time it is, guys? It doesn't matter what time it is, where, what day it is, what time it is, who you with, who's doing you. The party never stops.
Last chance to dance.